Welcome to Video Pods. Are you ready? Let's buckle up and dive in.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping straight into what really makes urban tourism destinations tick. You know, those cities that just pull people in.
Exactly. We've been looking at a great collection of academic sources, really digging into the DNA of these places.
And these sources seem to pinpoint some core characteristics, right? What defines a successful urban tourist spot?
That's right. They consistently highlight 7 key features. First up, the basics. Infrastructure and just how easy it is to get around.
Okay, the practical stuff.
Yeah, the nuts and bolts. Then there's the city's soul. You could say its cultural and historical significance.
Right, the heritage aspect.
Then the buzz events and festivals. Fourth, just the sheer variety of things to actually do the attractions.
Makes sense. Keep them busy.
Fifth is that multicultural dimension, which is often really rich and complex. Sixth, a fundamental places to stay. Accommodation.
Can't forget that.
And finally, number 7, the whole dining and nightlife scene. The flavor of the city, if you like.
Okay, so those are the 7 pillars, essentially.
Pretty much. They form the foundation for understanding these destinations.
So our mission today for this deep dive is really to get under the hood of managing these places, isn't it? We're looking at the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats across these features.
Exactly. What are the DMOs, the destination management organizations, actually dealing with? What are the advantages they have, and what are the hurdles?
So listeners get a clear picture of the forces at play. Okay, let's kick off with that foundation you mentioned, infrastructure and accessibility.
Right, and the sources show some real strengths here. Think of a city like London, its airports, the tube, rail links. It's a prime example.
Yeah, it's pretty well connected.
Generally, these urban hubs have strong transport networks, plus modern amenities, hotels, restaurants, shops, good public transport buses, trams, subways, and things like healthcare, high-speed internet, mobile coverage. It all adds up.
It creates a smooth experience, hopefully.
That's the idea. It underpins the whole tourism ecosystem.
But there's always a flip side, isn't there? What are the weaknesses inherent in that?
Well, the very thing that makes them popular, lots of people, leads to congestion, overcrowding, packed streets, packed trains. It can really take away from the trip.
Yeah, I can see that.
Then there's the environmental strain. More people often means more pollution, more resource use. Costs can be high too, pricing out budget travelers.
Right. Big cities aren't always cheap.
And you become dependent on that infrastructure. If something breaks down, like a major transport strike, it causes chaos. And one last thing, cities offer tons, but maybe not for tourists looking specifically for, vast natural landscape.
Okay, so challenges. But where are the opportunities for cities looking to improve or leverage this infrastructure?
Oh, there are quite a few highlighted. Smart city initiatives are a big one. Using tech to manage traffic, provide better info, enhance safety.
Making things smoother and safer.
Exactly. And promoting sustainable tourism, that's huge now.
Yeah.
Eco-friendly transport, green practices, tapping into that growing demand.
Makes sense.
Leveraging their cultural and heritage assets more effectively, maybe through better transport links to those sites. Hosting big events, conferences, festivals that require and showcase good infrastructure.
Right, the MICE market we'll probably touch on later.
And finally, public-private partnerships, PPPs, getting businesses involved in funding and developing infrastructure.
Okay, lots of potential. But potential threats must exist alongside opportunities.
Absolutely. A big one is economic dependency. If a city relies too heavily on tourism, any crisis, like a pandemic, hits incredibly hard.
We certainly saw that.
The infrastructure itself is under constant strain from visitor numbers. Cultural erosion is another threat, local character getting watered down by mass tourism.
The authenticity issue.
Precisely. Safety and security are always ongoing concerns with large crowds. And ensuring accessibility for everyone, regardless of physical ability, is a challenge that needs constant attention.
So solutions involve things like investment, diversification, better digital infrastructure, maybe.
Yeah, and things like promoting year-round tourism to spread the load, investing in digital alongside physical infrastructure, responsible tourism initiatives, and really focusing on inclusive design.
Okay, let's shift to that second pillar. Cultural and historical significance. You know, the museums, the monuments, the old buildings. Think Rome, or maybe the galleries in New York. The strengths seem pretty obvious here.
It really are. Rich heritage is a massive draw for tourists who want experiences, not just sights. That translates directly into economic benefit spending, jobs.
Yeah.
These places offer huge educational value. They help preserve history, and they really boost a city's image globally. Think of iconic landmarks.
But one of the sources raised an interesting, maybe provocative question. Does tourism create an us and them? Do residents become like exhibits?
That's a really critical point and highlights a potential weakness: overcrowding at famous historical sites. It can ruin the experience for everyone, locals included.
Yeah, try and see the Mona Lisa.
Exactly. Then there's the cost. Maintaining these old places is expensive. Plus, let's be honest, some historical sites might not appeal much to younger tourists looking for something modern.
True.
And you have regulatory hurdles, preservation rules can be complex, plus interest can be seasonal, affecting revenue flow.
So given those challenges, how can cities make the most of their cultural assets? What are the opportunities?
Developing smarter cultural tourism packages, maybe offering deeper dives or unique access. Using technology, virtual tours, augmented reality can enhance the experience and even ease physical crowding.
Oh, interesting. Like virtual reality tours of ancient Rome.
Potentially, yeah. Collaborating with museums and local groups is key, focusing on sustainable practices to ensure preservation, and crucially, engaging the local community, getting them involved in telling their own stories. That builds pride and support.
Right, making it collaborative rather than imposed.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the sheer variety of attractions in cities. Parks, gardens, zoos, aquariums, even just the interesting urban landscapes themselves. What's the strength there?
It's that diversity. It offers cultural enrichment, appeals to a huge range of tastes, and often gets different community groups involved, maybe showcasing their own culture.
So broader appeal, more engagement.
Which leads to economic benefits, more visitors, more spending, more jobs, more tax revenue, and it boosts the city's global profile, encouraging repeat visits.
It seems like a win-win.
Ah,
But are there threats associated with having so many attractions?
there can be. Again, overcrowding is a big one, straining not just the sites, but transport, sanitation, everything around them. Environmental impact, litter, emissions, resource use can increase significantly. And that risk of cultural erosion or losing authenticity, attractions becoming too commercialized. You mentioned Amsterdam earlier. The debate around the red light district reforms is a classic example of a city grappling with managing a very specific and controversial urban attraction.
That's a very real-world example of that tension. What other threats do the sources highlight?
Economic disparities. Are the benefits of tourism reaching all parts of the community or just a few? That can cause friction.
Good point.
Security is always a factor with large numbers of people spread across various sites. And simple market saturation, so many cities offer so much. Competition is fierce, so you need to keep innovating.
Constant pressure to stand out. Okay, let's pivot to events and festivals. Carnival in Rio, Holi, Day of the Dead. These bring incredible energy. What are the core strengths?
Massive strengths. First, a direct economic injection. Hotels, restaurants, shops all benefit. Jobs are created, often temporary, but sometimes leading to more permanent roles.
Big money spinners.
Definitely. Second, they're vital for preserving and promoting culture, showcasing traditions. Third, huge branding potential. They attract media, put the city on the map.
Free advertising almost.
In a way, yeah. And finally, they build community spirit. People volunteer, different cultures interact. It fosters social cohesion.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
But I imagine hosting these huge events has its weaknesses too.
Oh, absolutely. They are incredibly resource intensive, very expensive to stage, security, logistics, cleanup. They put immense strain on infrastructure. Transport can grind to a halt. The environmental footprint can be significant waste, energy use.
Yeah, the aftermath of a big festival.
Plus, many are seasonal or even weather dependent, which adds risk. And managing large crowds always carries safety concerns.
So balancing the buzz with the burdens, what are the opportunities versus the threats here?
The opportunities really mirror the strengths. Harness that economic boost for reinvestment, use them strategically for cultural promotion and branding, maybe leverage them to push for needed infrastructure upgrades that benefit everyone long term, and really build on that community engagement aspect.
And the threats.
Again, often the flip side of weaknesses. Overcrowding becoming unmanageable. Cultural traditions getting lost in commercialism, becoming too economically dependent on a single event that might get canceled. Environmental damage, and those persistent security risks. Careful planning is paramount.
Okay, now, the multicultural environment. So many cities pride themselves on this. Our sources mention Brazil's favelas as, well, complex examples, and even touch on debates around slum tourism. What are the inherent strengths of multiculturalism for urban tourism?
The primary strength is that rich diversity itself. It attracts tourists seeking authentic, varied cultural experiences, food, music, art, traditions. It often means a wider variety of festivals and events throughout the year.
More reasons to visit more often.
Exactly. It provides great educational opportunities and can foster a really inclusive, welcoming vibe for international visitors.
But managing tourism in such diverse environments must have challenges.
It definitely can. There's potential for cultural clashes if interactions aren't handled sensitively. Infrastructure in specific neighborhoods might struggle with tourist influx. Language barriers can be an issue. And again, that risk of over-commercialization where traditions lose their meaning. And sometimes safety perceptions or realities might be a concern in certain areas.
So what are the opportunities for DMOs here? How can they leverage this diversity positively?
Developing specialized cultural tourism packages, think food tours in specific ethnic neighborhoods or craft workshops. Hosting collaborative events that celebrate diversity.
Bringing people together.
Yes. Using targeted marketing to reach tourists interested in specific cultures. Maybe setting up cultural exchange programs. And always, always promoting sustainable practices that respect local heritage.
And the threats to watch out for.
Cultural erosion is a big one if tourism isn't managed carefully. Economic disparities ensuring benefits are shared across communities. Environmental impacts on specific neighborhoods, political or social instability can sometimes be a factor in diverse urban areas. And of course, competition from other great multicultural cities.
It really requires a sensitive, nuanced approach. Okay, let's talk MICE meetings, incentives, conferences, exhibitions. The business side of urban tourism. We saw Utilita Arena Birmingham mentioned as an example. What are the strengths cities offer here?
Cities are often tailor-made for MICE. They usually have the large-scale facilities, conference centers, big hotels, their accessible airports, rail links.
Easy for delegates to get to.
Right. They offer loads of amenities, restaurants, entertainment for after the meetings, and major cities have brand recognition, a track record.
Makes sense. Weaknesses for MICE in cities.
Cost is often a major factor. Cities are expensive venues, hotels, everything.
Budgets can be tight?
Definitely. Congestion can be a nightmare for moving large groups of delegates around. The environmental footprint of big conferences is getting more scrutiny. And security for large, high-profile gatherings is complex and costly.
Okay. Opportunities to improve the MICE offering.
Technology is huge, offering better hybrid event options combining in-person and virtual, using smart city tech to smooth logistics for attendees.
Right, apps for navigation, real-time updates.
Exactly. And sustainability, getting green certifications, promoting eco-friendly practices that's increasingly important to corporate clients.
And the threats. The sources seem to break these down quite a bit.
They do. There are economic threats, recessions, hitting travel budgets, fierce competition between cities, environmental threats, climate change impacting travel, managing waste and emissions.
Social ones too.
Yes, social threats like overcrowding caused by huge events or potential cultural clashes. Technological threats, cybersecurity is massive for events handling lots of data and keeping tech infrastructure up to date.
And political or health.
Political and regulatory threats, policy changes affecting visas or taxes. And health threats, as we now know all too well, pandemics, sanitation standards, they can shut down the industry overnight.
Wow, a complex web of risks for MICE destinations. Let's move to accommodation, absolutely essential. Luxury, boutique, budget apartments, Airbnb, B&Bs, the whole range. Strength.
Huge revenue generator, obviously. It drives infrastructure development. New hotels often mean upgrades to surrounding areas. Can spur real estate development, sometimes revitalizing rundown districts.
And improves the tourist experience.
Fundamentally. Provides comfort, safety, a base. And good zoning strategies can help manage the type and location of accommodation.
Weaknesses associated with all this accommodation.
Resource consumption is a big one. Water, energy, waste. The impact on residents' quality of life, noise, traffic, changing neighborhood character.
Airbnb effect sometimes.
Exactly. Seasonality can be an issue. With properties empty off-peak, it can drive up the cost of living for locals, potentially leading to gentrification and displacement.
So opportunities to manage this better.
Well, the economic growth and jobs are clear opportunities if managed well, driving infrastructure improvements,
Yeah.
using tourism accommodations strategically for urban revitalization. And a big opportunity lies in promoting sustainable practices, eco-friendly hotels, responsible hosting,
And the threats lurking in the accommodation sector.
environmental damage from unsustainable operations, those economic disparities and social tensions from gentrification, security concerns in different types of lodging, infrastructure strain if development outpaces capacity, regulatory headaches, especially with short-term rentals like Airbnb, and market saturation, just too many rooms chasing too few guests.
Yeah.
Always a balancing act. Okay, finally, let's talk dining and nightlife. Seoul, Toronto, Mumbai, Paris, Berlin mentioned as hotspots. What's the strengths here?
It's often a reflection of the city's cultural diversity, which is a huge draw in itself, offers a taste of local life.
Food tourism is big now.
It really is, and it's a massive economic contributor, jobs, revenue. It can even spark redevelopment in nightlife districts. Plus, it provides social hubs, enhances the city's brand. A great food scene becomes part of the identity.
Weaknesses? I can guess some.
Yeah, overcrowding in popular spots, noise and disturbance for residents living nearby, safety concerns in late-night areas.
Cost.
High costs can be a barrier. And environmental impact: food waste, energy for kitchens and lighting, noise pollution.
Opportunities to capitalize on this.
Really lean into culinary tourism, promote local chefs, food traditions, push for sustainable practices in restaurants and bars, host food festivals, night markets.
Use tech.
Yeah, tech for reservations, reviews, maybe even delivery integration in some ways.
Yeah.
And encourage partnerships between businesses with tourism boards.
And the threats to this vibrant scene.
Economic downturns hitting discretionary spending, tougher regulations, closing times, alcohol taxes, hygiene rules, environmental backlash leading to stricter noise or waste rules,
Competition.
fierce competition from other cities, changing tastes. What's trendy now might not be next year, health crises, obviously, and even tech disruptions, maybe more people opting for digital entertainment or delivery instead of going out.
So it seems all these elements, infrastructure, culture, attractions, events, multiculturalism, MICE, accommodation, dining, they're all deeply interconnected, aren't they?
Absolutely. They weave together to create that whole urban experience for visitors and for residents, too. It's a complex tapestry.
So wrapping up our deep dive today, it's crystal clear that managing urban tourism is, well, it's a really complex balancing act. You're constantly juggling all these interconnected factors.
Yeah, you have to be looking at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats across every single one of those areas we discussed. It's not simple.
It demands constant adaptation from DMOs, doesn't it?
Without a doubt. They need to be agile and strategic.
Which leads us to a final thought for our listeners to chew on. Considering how dynamic cities are and how travelers' desires keep changing, how can these destination management organizations truly build resilience and long-term sustainability into their strategies? Think about that tension between keeping things authentic and local while also meeting the demands of global tourism. How do you strike that balance for the future? Something to ponder.